Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle, where we talk every single Big Ten team challenging the national bias of the SEC and having a few laughs along the way. I'm JR, joined today by Zach Guggenheim and Big Jeff to be talking game-by-game predictions in the Big Ten. If you like this type of content, Big Ten focused, some anti-SEC sprinkled in here and there, hit that like button, subscribe for more Big Ten content and thoughts. You can also catch us live on YouTube on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights for our Big Jeff's Insights episodes, where Big Jeff comes on, gives his thoughts on whatever article or whatever it is he's working on. Always insightful, always good stuff there. Become a member, subscribe to our basketball channel as well, and follow us on TikTok, Twitter /X, Instagram, all those at the Big Ten Huddle. Now here's the guy who might be the only one in the country who's not very interested in coaching in the SEC, Zach Guggenheim.
I only want to coach Kent State. That's my only coaching desire.
It's so funny to me. Jimbo Fisher and John Gruden both very interested to coach in the SEC right now. I thought that was so funny. All right, listen, this is going to take a while, so let's bring Jeff in here. Got Big Jeff here. Jeff, how we doing?
Excellent, guys. Exciting. First time for the fearsome threesome to get together.
This is great.
I love it. Well, I gave myself the big scream. Hope you don't mind. I can always go.
You're the Godfather,
over, but I can't change the name tags there. So you know.
You're the Godfather. So the only question, Zach, is which one of us is Fredo?
Uh-oh.
These are references that I don't actually know. So I think you have to.
No way. All right, sorry.
You have a right to assign roles here.
Okay. A lot of the audience will know, but anyway, maybe I aged myself a little bit there. Sorry about that.
No, we love it, Jeff. We love it. Mm-hmm. All right. So we are going to get to our Big Ten game-by-game predictions. We're just going to go ahead and get right into it because we've done this before, and it generally takes us about an hour. We're going to try to condense this into about 45 minutes. So if we don't get super deep into like every game, stay patient with us. We're going to try to talk through some stuff and have some different stuff. The way this is going to work, we'll go game by game. Me, Zach, and Jeff will all make our picks. We might just pick one really fast, especially in these kind of group of five matchups. And then if we have any disagreements, we will go with whoever is higher, between the two of us or three of us, the two people that vote for it. And then who knows, we might leave some up to you guys in the chat as well, and you guys can help us out here. So sound good, gentlemen?
Good game plan.
All right, let's do it. I know this is a really tough one. Jeff, Rutgers or Ohio?
Yeah, in general, I have the Big Ten cleaning up in the non-conference. So, yeah, Rutgers.
Okay. All right. Zach,
Are you?
There we go. All right, Minnesota over Buffalo. Stop me if I guess Nebraska, Cincinnati. Neither of you guys had Cincinnati winning that one, right?
Nebraska.
Yeah. All right, stop me if there's one you don't think so. Wisconsin over Miami, Ohio. Michigan State over Western Michigan. Illinois over Western Illinois. Ohio State over Texas. Zach, what'd you have for this one?
I had Buckeyes.
Okay. Jeff, is that what you had as well?
So actually I don't. This is the one where I think Arch Manning hits the round running faster than Julian Sayin. Close game, though.
Okay.
I mean, it's a push game. It's like...
Yeah.
I think I had the Buckeyes as well, so we'll go Buckeyes here.
Yeah.
All right, Purdue over Ball State. Northwestern, Tulane. I had Tulane in this one. Did you guys differ?
I have Tulane. Mr. Northwestern lover has to have Northwestern, right?
I have Northwestern. Yeah. So, but we'll go Tulane.
We'll honor. Tough. We'll honor it. So that I know that hurt you, Zach, but we'll get through. Maryland over Florida Atlantic. Listen, it's September. It's August and September. Mike Locksley wins, so we got to pick.
He's
Maryland.
A national champion if the season would just end.
It's true.
October 1st.
Indiana over Old Dominion. Penn State over Nevada. Oregon over Montana State. Iowa over Albany. Michigan over New Mexico. USC over Missouri State. UCLA Utah. I think if I remember correctly, I had Utah here. Is that what you guys had?
I think I had Utah also.
I have Utah.
Oh wow, sweet, swept it.
And I'm not low on UCLA, by the way. That's a tough opener.
Well, Utah, I mean, they're projected to possibly win the Big 12 this year, so they're supposed to be pretty good. So we'll see.
To be fair, everybody's projected to win the Big 12, so
Well, yes,
we don't know what
that's
that means.
That's what
Half the
happens.
conference has a half a chance to win the Big 12.
That's true. Washington over Colorado State, and there we are, the end of week 1. Let's head on over to week 2. All right, gonna get a little bit better, a little bit spicier now, but not at the start. Northwestern over Western Illinois, Maryland over Northern Iowa, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Illinois, Duke. Jeff, what'd you have here?
Illinois. Yep.
All right, I had Illinois
Illinois
as well. Yeah.
Trickier game, though. Trickier game than people expect.
Yes, I agree.
Yep.
Tricky game there. Iowa State. I had Iowa here, even though it's on the road. I think Mark Gronowski comes out in this one and plays well and proves himself to some of the rival fans that are not really Gronowski lovers. Zach, where are you at?
Yeah, Iowa, I think the past 5 years, the road team has won. I think that's the stat.
Oh, wow.
So I've got Iowa.
Okay.
I have Iowa.
Yeah, and it's no slouch to Iowa State. Iowa State's going to be good this year. They've lost some of their really good receivers, but Rocco Beck is still there, and I mean Matt Campbell's done a good job there. So
this is actually one of the most interesting games to watch every year, actually, for people. If you want to tune into something, this is a good one.
I always love the Iowa State game. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
All right. Indiana, Kennesaw State, Penn State, Florida International, Minnesota, Northwestern State, Ohio State, Grambling, Rutgers over Miami of Ohio, Oregon over Oklahoma State. Both of you guys, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Wisconsin, Middle Tennessee. Jeff, what'd you have here? Boston College, Michigan State.
Michigan State again, man. I'm relying on us to flex some muscles against these medium teams and win a lot of them.
I hope so. You too, Jeff, or you too, Zach?
Yep.
Yeah.
MSU.
All right. Now, I had Oklahoma over Michigan. Zach, did you have Michigan or Oklahoma?
I had Michigan over Oklahoma.
Okay. Jeff, you're the tiebreaker.
So I think this is a terrible matchup for Michigan, given especially if they go with the young quarterback, Oklahoma winning.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma's got a good defense. They have a good defense. They probably would have better numbers last year if the offense didn't give up the ball right away had the defense playing again. So they're a good team.
Good defensive line for Oklahoma. I was looking at their roster the other day a little bit and was impressed by that. So, all right, Purdue over Southern Illinois, Nebraska over Akron, USC over Georgia Southern, UCLA, UNLV. I think this is another sneaky one, but I went with UCLA here. Jeff, what about you?
UCLA. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
UCLA.
Yep. Fighting Dan Mullins. Take down the Fighting Dan Mullins. All right, Washington over UC Davis, and that's week 2. Moving on to week 3. Indiana State. What were you going to say, Zach?
I was just going to say the Iowa State rivalry, the last five times dating back to 2019, the road team has won.
Okay.
So,
and then
I think it'll be 6.
The only other thing I want to say for week 2, I will be at the Kennesaw State Indiana game because my son is a sophomore at Kennesaw State. We're bringing him to school tomorrow, so it'll be fun.
Very fun.
Game of the year.
And hopefully Jeff and I will be able to get some good grub there in Bloomington. My wife asked the other day, she said, how many podcasting friends do you have that I'm going to have to meet? And I said, Zach's coming with his family, so that's the main thing there. I said, when Jeff comes, I don't know if you have to go. And she said, it'd be kind of mean if I didn't. And I said, well, it's okay. Jeff's going to be with his son. So
I wouldn't be offended if I didn't. Either way. Yeah.
All right, UCLA, New Mexico, UCLA, Northwestern, Oregon, right, guys?
Northwestern's going to upset no, I'm kidding. Oregon.
The Northwestern lover.
I don't love them that much.
I did pick Wisconsin over Alabama as a possible upset when we did our upset picks, Zach, but I still chose Alabama here. That's what you guys have as well, right? Yeah. Michigan over Central Michigan. Maryland automatic over Towson, Nebraska over Houston Christian, Michigan State over Youngstown State, Penn State over Villanova, USC traveling to Purdue. USC, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yep. Rutgers over Norfolk. Ohio over Ohio State. Or Ohio State over Ohio State. Ohio State over Ohio. Gosh. And then Illinois over Western Michigan. All right.
Man,
I think we've got
other
through
than
most of them.
Wisconsin at Alabama, that's a clunker week
Yeah.
for Big Ten games. Good Lord.
Yeah. Week
Those are
3 is
really-
not going to be our best. All right.
Yeah.
I got to refresh. This website's doing that thing where it. I love this website, but they have their stuff all messed up. Oh no! What happened?
Uh-oh.
What did it do? Ha! It reset everything. Well, that's
No.
okay. I think that's all right. That's all what we picked. All right.
Okay.
Let me check week 2. Oh, that's week 3. All right. Sorry, this is terrible podcasting now. Illinois, Iowa. We chose all the home teams there. Okay, so it did give us week 2, correct. All right. And then week 3, all those are correct. Oh, but there's 2 more down here. Iowa over UMass. Minnesota, Cal. What do you guys think there?
I'm going with Minnesota, the Gophers. Skyuma, blah, 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 whatever they say.
Yeah. Row the boat. Sky Yuma.
No offense to our Gopher friends. I botched that, but I like
It's
your
okay.
coach.
I used to say ski Yuma, so I was wrong there. So you're better than me.
Yeah. The Sky U Pod guys, if they're listening, they're rolling and
Oh, yeah.
just shaking their
Yeah.
heads right now. But that's all right.
I don't.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think Cal stands a chance in that one. All right. Iowa, Rutgers. Iowa on the road at Rutgers. What do we got here, Jeff?
Iowa winning.
Iowa.
You got the same? Yep, me too.
Yep.
All right, big one, boys. Big one. Zach, we'll let you go first. Illinois at Indiana. Brenton is already vying for his guys here, as he should. Zach, what do you got?
Yeah. I'm with him. I've got Indiana pulling a mile. I've got Indiana pulling a mild upset.
Okay. I think I took Illinois in this one because of the early game and all that stuff and everything. I don't feel great about it, but I could be swayed either way. Jeff, what do you have?
I took Indiana, just the home field. Now Indiana actually has a home field advantage. Oh my God, what a shock. I went to Indiana, people, so don't throw stones. Yeah, Indiana in a tight one. I still have Illinois winning 9 games, so I'm not an Illinois hater, Illinois fans.
There we go. All right,
Yeah.
Oregon State. We're rolling with the favorites here in the rivalry one.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
USC or Michigan State at USC. I think this would be a bit sneakier if USC was traveling to Michigan State, but I got USC here, especially being at home for them. You guys don't defer, correct?
Yes, see. Yep.
Yep. Let's see.
Wisconsin, Maryland. We all have Wisconsin, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Wisconsin at home, right? Yeah.
Zach and I are not going to make the same mistake we did last year. We were going to pick Notre Dame over Purdue. That's the worst mistake
That's
we've ever
pretty
made.
safe.
Don't make that mistake again. Oh,
Michigan at Nebraska. This is another very interesting one. I think this one's going to get overshadowed a little bit because of the Illinois-Indiana game, but it probably will have more of a national audience because of Michigan and everything there. But this is going to be a really interesting game. I had Nebraska winning this one. Jeff, where were you on Michigan at Nebraska?
Yeah, I have Nebraska again, just because the young quarterback on the road. I have Michigan getting better and better as the year goes along, and that young QB develops. But Nebraska wins this.
yep.
Yeah.
I had
You
Nebraska
were the same,
too.
Zach? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Washington at Washington State. We all have Washington, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, get some payback on the Cougs. All right. Week 5, few less games in this one. We have UCLA at Northwestern. I believe I had Northwestern in this one. Where are you at, Jeff?
I had UCLA winning.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah.
Northwestern boy.
I'm
Or
rolling
man,
with the
sorry.
Cats, man.
All right. Give it to the Cats. I do think travel is one that needs to be considered there.
That's a big game for both teams. That's a swing
is.
game.
Yep.
It
Yep.
is. All right. USC at Illinois. I had Illinois in this one. Jeff, you the same way?
I do. I like Illinois winning that one.
Yep, clean sweep.
All right. Congrats, Illinois. All right. Rutgers at Minnesota. I think this is a sneakier one than people are going to give it credit for, but
Yep.
I'm still going Minnesota here.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Tough at
Minnesota.
home. Tough at home.
Another sneaky one. Ohio State at Washington. I believe I took Ohio State here. Zach, you took Washington. Is that correct?
No, I took Ohio State here.
That was
Okay.
me. That was
That was
me.
you.
Basically,
Okay.
I think Ohio State's going to lose to somebody you wouldn't expect. Washington's good at home, and that's an early game. So young quarterback on the road. Ohio State will also get better and better as the year goes along, just like Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Indiana at Iowa. I think if Indiana wins that Illinois game, this is going to be the one that a lot of people are going to be pointing to for, like, okay, is it real? You know, they're going to be saying, okay, we feel really good, but then after this Illinois one, it's going to be Iowa. Is it real? I think it is. I have Indiana winning this one. Jeff, where are you?
I like Iowa.
All right.
Indiana has
Zach.
the big Illinois win and then loses the very next week.
That's
Uh-oh.
that's
All right, Zach.
that's exactly what I have.
Ah, all right, Indiana fans, you can't be mad at me because I picked you. Be mad at the other side.
I have
of the table
IU
here.
still going 9-3. Let's not get carried away here.
All right, Oregon at Penn State. Zach, what do you got here?
Nittany Lions
Yeah,
at home.
Jeff, you the same?
Common theme: young quarterback on the road equals L.
Yeah. All right, Penn State gets that one. Penn State wins a big game. Nobody can say anything to James Franklin ever again.
Top 10
All right.
win it will be at least.
What'd you say?
It will be a top 10 win at least.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know if it'll be top 5. Maybe.
Yeah, could be top 5 depending
Could
on
be.
how stuff
Could
goes,
be.
but yeah. All right, Northwestern, UL Monroe, choosing Northwestern there. Ohio State, Minnesota. I don't think either of you guys had Minnesota. Both had Ohio State, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Illinois at Purdue. We all had Illinois, I believe.
Yep.
Penn State at UCLA. Penn State here.
Yep.
Wisconsin
Okay.
at Michigan.
Michigan.
Everybody had Michigan here, correct?
Michigan. Yep.
Yeah. Washington at Maryland. I think we all had Washington there. And
Yeah, but if
then-
Washington beats Ohio State, I could see the hangover traveling to Maryland.
Yeah.
And Maryland having one of those just stupid upsets.
I gave this to Maryland because I had to have them winning somewhere. Because I don't think they're terrible or anything. So I actually had Maryland. I don't feel super strong.
This is what Maryland does too, right?
Yeah.
Like Maryland will come in and play against a team and just give like a really, really good game to some of these better teams in the Big Ten. So I think it's more likely Washington wins, but now that you guys are talking about it, I wouldn't.
It's kind of wild because I have Washington winning against Ohio State, then everyone's telling them how great they are. They go on the road, travel across the country, and lose. That's actually a pretty good scenario.
Yeah,
Do you know who would be the most? Do you know who'd be the most angry in that scenario? Is Ohio State fans.
They would be, yeah. They're always mad. I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say they'd be
Like,
mad all the
unless
time.
they're Alabama, they're mad. Unless they're like Saban's Alabama, they're pissed off.
Yeah, I'm still picking Washington, but I do think that is a
Washington will be
scenario.
favored for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of the ones where you need to kind of go through the schedule like we're doing here and see it and say, oh, okay, that's crazy to
It's
pick
an
Maryland,
at-risk
but when you
game.
go through it.
Even if Washington plays Ohio State close and loses, they could just have a hard time getting up for that next week from the disappointment. You know, there's just a lot of reasons why that's a.
Hooligan wants to assure you, Zach, he would be madder. He promised. I love that. That's hilarious.
We love you, Hooligan. Thanks for joining us tonight, man.
We gotta have Hooligan on the show again. It's been too long since we've had Hooligan on here. Hooligan, we'll
I
get
know,
you on
man. Oh,
here soon. All right, Michigan State at Nebraska. Listen, I picked Nebraska here, but I gotta be honest. This feels like one where Michigan State, maybe just kind of unloads and has a really good offensive game. Maybe Nebraska a little bit later in the season. maybe isn't playing as well. I don't know. I'm still picking Nebraska here, but this is one I would not be surprised if Michigan State gets the win here.
I like Nebraska. They're coming off a bye week. I think they'll be focused.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Next, week 7. Week 7. If I'm missing any games here, please let me know. Like I said, this website sometimes can have some games that kind of get missed a little bit. So if anything happens, please let me know. All right. Rutgers at Washington. Washington, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Northwestern at Penn State. Penn State. Ohio State at Illinois. Zach, what'd you have here?
I have Illinois.
Ooh. Jeff?
Ohio State.
Yeah.
Ohio State starts
too.
to lock in midseason.
There you go. Ohio State currently sits at 10-1 if they get this win. Okay. Nebraska at Maryland. Nebraska here, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think this is actually where I had Maryland getting a win is what I had here. So I'll go with Nebraska like you guys are saying, but this is actually where I had Nebraska falling short the road trip. Purdue at Minnesota, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana at Oregon. Zach?
Oregon.
No, not even being in Indiana right now is going to sway you.
No, it's in Autzen.
Yeah.
I just think that I think the travel.
Yeah.
Oregon.
Yeah, that's the toughest part. I mean, we were literally talking about it. If one of these two games between Oregon and Penn State for Indiana was just at Indiana, I'd feel better about it. But it's such a tough road trip. All right, Michigan at USC. I had USC winning this one. Jeff?
Actually, I have Michigan, believe it, actually winning this. This was a tough game. This is a total swing game. I have Michigan winning as Underwood starts to get his legs underneath him here.
Michigan's coming off a bye here too, right?
No, Wisconsin. Bye.
Oh, that's right. They play Wisconsin.
USC, but
okay. I'm trying to remember who I picked in this one. I
don't feel strong. I mean, this is.
You want to let the chat decide this one?
We could. I was leaning I think I'm leaning USC just because of home, but I think by this point I agree with you, Jeff, that I think Michigan might be the better team.
I mean, I actually like USC. I think they have the biggest upside. They could the most potential to grab a playoff spot, and you're like, whoa. But I
don't disagree.
I think we should leave this one up to the chat. I think this next one will give us a little bit of a decision here. So put it in the chat. Who do you think will win, Michigan or USC? Michigan at USC. Chat. We'll count it up. We'll let you decide. Britton already says he's got Michigan. So we'll see what everybody else says. All right. Iowa at Wisconsin. I had Wisconsin in this one. I think Luke Fickell gets his guys going. I think the culture that they've been preaching, they've been talking about gets shown here. I like Wisconsin in this one. Zach?
Yep, Wisconsin.
I have Wisconsin. These are great games, though. These
are
so rock fight. This should be a rock fight if Wisconsin gets back to playing defense.
All right. If you give a little bit more time for the Michigan USC because it's tied right now, so we need somebody to break the tie in there. UCLA at Michigan State. If this was a neutral site one or at UCLA, I think I'd pick UCLA here, but the travel is no joke, so I'm picking Michigan State. Jeff, you the same way?
Michigan State.
Sparty.
All right. Very good. All right. Darth Ducky comes in with the final vote to seal it here. Michigan over USC. There you go. Excuse me. All right. Michigan gets the win. Moving on to week 8. Opening it up, we got Nebraska at Minnesota on a Friday. Love the Friday games. I think they're very, very fun. Jeff, who do you have in Nebraska at Minnesota?
I actually have Nebraska winning this one on the road.
I had Minnesota in this one.
For that to happen, Raiola has to outplay the young quarterback for Minnesota, basically. Clearly outplay. And I think he can.
I think I had Nebraska as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you had Nebraska going like 9-3.
Mm-hmm.
All
No,
right,
I
we'll
think
go
I
with
had. I
Nebraska.
think I had him. I think I had him 10-2.
Oh, that's right, you did.
I had
You
a
him higher
lot
than
of
that.
I had a lot of 10-2 teams.
Yeah. You love the second place tie. All right. Indiana or Michigan State at Indiana. I think we all have Indiana here.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this one's gonna be a barn burner here. Purdue at Northwestern, Zach.
Northwestern by 3 scores.
I have the Cats.
Yeah, I got the Cats too. All right. Oregon at Rutgers. I know they're on the road, but I'm going Oregon here. Correct, both of you guys.
Oregon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oregon.
Maryland at UCLA. Going UCLA here. Tough road. Tough travel here from Maryland. Do you guys the same? UCLA.
UCLA. Yep.
Bruins. Yep.
Washington at Michigan. Going Michigan here. Tough travel for Washington. Yep. You guys going Michigan as well?
Yep.
I am going Michigan.
Ohio State at Wisconsin. Ohio State here, correct?
Yes.
Buckeyes.
Penn State at Iowa. Got Penn State here. Both of you guys the same, correct?
Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
Big
Yep.
close game though.
USC at Notre Dame. Boy, I want to pick USC here, but I picked Notre Dame. Where are you at, Jeff?
Yeah.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Fighting leprechauns.
Fighting leprechauns. I would love for USC to get that win though. That would be amazing. All right,
Yep.
Week 9. Let's get into Week 9 here. Gotta reset that week there. Okay. UCLA at Indiana. Got Indiana, correct, both of you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Michigan at Michigan State. Rivalry game. Can the Spartans get some payback? Jeff, what do you think?
Michigan.
I have the Spartans. I know that's probably gonna get shot down, but
Yeah, I
don't
had
know.
Michigan in this one.
yeah.
But I will say, this is one that needs to be circled because it is going to be more of a, kind of, I wouldn't say more of a rivalry, but it's going to be closer, I think. I think last year was pretty close too. Obviously, Michigan pulled that one out, but the fact that it's at Michigan State, offense could be better for Michigan State this year. I think that's going to be a really interesting one.
Yeah.
Rutgers at Purdue. I think I had Purdue in this one. Jeff, what'd you have?
Rutgers.
Zach?
Rutgers.
Yeah. All right. Northwestern at Nebraska. We all got Nebraska, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin at Oregon. We all have Oregon, correct?
Oregon.
Yep.
Yep.
Illinois at Washington. I had Washington here. Zach, what'd you have?
Yes. Washington.
Okay. You agree, Jeff?
Washington. Yep.
Minnesota at Iowa. I believe I had Iowa in this one. You agree, Jeff?
Yes. But another compelling game. Low
Yeah,
scoring.
for sure.
Yeah.
13-10.
Those old West rivalries with Iowa,
Yeah.
Minnesota, Wisconsin are all going to be so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I got to reset that one. Okay. Penn State, Ohio State, big one, guys. Big one played at noon because that's all Ohio State and Penn State ever play at, unfortunately. However, we'll make it work. Penn State at Ohio State. Zach, what'd you have?
I feel like I went back and forth, but I am convinced that Ohio State is going to, I think as Jeff has said, is going to improve in the second half of the season. I think Buckeyes deal Penn State their only regular season loss.
Yeah.
Jeff?
After losing to Texas, losing to Washington, they're going to rally the troops. Ryan Day is going to play a major role in the game plan for this with a week off.
Yeah, I was reading a tweet today that they both have the bye before
They
this
both
one.
have the bye. Yep.
That's what he was saying. I think it was the former Penn State offensive lineman Landon Tingwell. He said he believed that Penn State had the advantage there because he thinks Penn State has the better coaching staff. I do think Penn State has the more proven coordinators, but I don't know about the better coaching staff personally.
But what he's not factoring in is it's a week off. Ryan Day he's going to get involved. This is not going to be Brian Hartline's game. This is going to be because this is the year of transition.
Yeah.
This is Ryan Day's game, really, for prep for this. And he's a big game coach, as we know by now. Yeah. That's my thought.
It'd also be revenge Ryan Day because of Knowles. So
Knowles.
Revenge Ryan Day is not a fun Ryan Day to be around.
That's true. That's true.
Yep.
Rutgers at Illinois. We all have Illinois, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Purdue at Michigan, Indiana at Maryland. Mike Loxley, can he get it done?
Indiana.
Hoosiers.
Michigan State at Minnesota. Had Minnesota in this one. You guys the same?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember. I think I had Minnesota.
And then USC at Nebraska. This is going to be a really fun one between these two teams. I believe I had Nebraska here, but I would not be surprised at all if it goes the other way. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I actually have this as Nebraska's first loss. They're 8-0 coming into this, and USC lays the upset and gets rolling. USC.
Nice. All right, Zach, you had Nebraska, I assume?
Yeah, Nebraska.
Yeah. I was just trying to see what it did differently with the standings over here. Although Michigan is 10-2, they are actually atop of the Big Ten if everything goes the way that we're saying right now because of the tiebreaker. Which that's kind of crazy. All right, week 11. There we go. Northwestern at USC, Indiana at Penn State. We all have Penn State in this one.
Penn State.
Penn State.
Yeah. Same thing for me with the Oregon one. If it were at Indiana, I might feel different, but tough environment there at Penn State. Is that going to be the whiteout? Do we know what the whiteout is yet?
Washington. Or no, Oregon.
No,
Oregon's the whiteout.
Oregon. That is the
Oregon's
whiteout?
the whiteout.
Okay.
Yeah,
This will
sorry.
probably be a big nooner. Indiana, Penn State. It's got Big Nooner written on it. All right, Rondell Moore is no longer at Purdue, so we'll pick Ohio State. Rutgers, Maryland at Rutgers. What do you got here, Jeff?
Rutgers.
Rutgers.
Zach? All right, Rutgers it is. Nebraska at UCLA. Zach, what do you got here?
Nebraska.
I have UCLA pulling the upset.
Wow.
Yep.
I originally had Nebraska, but what if Deshaun Foster really gets his guys going? What if they really believe in Deshaun Foster? What if they don't go down without a fight? They've only have one win in the Big Ten right now. Only one win.
Well, they're not going to quit either. We knew that from last year. And then with a new coordinator in Sinceri, he gets things rolling now with Nico as the season goes along. That's why I like him here. But
I didn't do it.
This is still an upset. This is still an upset. Nebraska will be favored by a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I'm picking UCLA. Call me crazy. Let's see it happen. All right, Washington at Wisconsin. I had Washington in this one. Jeff, what about you?
Actually, Wisconsin winning.
Break the ties, Zach.
Washington has a tough schedule, man.
They do.
Yeah, I think I had Washington, but I think I'm actually going to shade over to Wisconsin on this.
All right, Wisconsin on the path to go 6-6. Good for them. Oregon at Iowa. I think this is a sneakier game than people realize. I'm going Oregon here.
Yep.
But if Mark Gronowski is proving to be something really dynamic for this team, I think Iowa has a better shot here than people will give him credit for. Jeff, what about you?
So it's interesting. I have Iowa winning, for Oregon's second loss.
Oh.
I just think if the Big Ten is what we're saying it is, that they are better than they used to be in the mid-tier, there's going to be more of these upsets. If there's not, then it's our argument against the SEC is not as good.
Well, and that's the thing,
Yeah.
right? Is I think the top of the SEC has gotten worse,
Yes.
and the second tier of the SEC has about stayed the same, or maybe
Yes.
increased a little bit.
I agree with that.
I think it's a product of the best of the Big Ten. It's just that much better than the best in the SEC. To me, it's really that's kind of what you're talking about there.
Yeah.
Is the second tier of the Big Ten good enough to have more of these upsets like the second tier of the SEC is?
Yeah. My only counter, I just think Oregon is going to be so much better later in the season. Similar to Ohio State, similar to Michigan. So,
Yep.
but I do think you're right that this is a tricky game. And if Iowa's defense really rounds back into form, I like week of I might pick Iowa, but right now I'm sticking with Oregon.
All right, good deal. Picked Oregon there. All right, Minnesota at Oregon. We going Oregon again here, guys.
Yep. Oregon.
Yeah.
All right, Wisconsin at Indiana. We all got Indiana here.
Hoosiers.
Yep.
Penn State at Michigan State. Got Penn State here, correct.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan at Northwestern. I don't think David Braun gets his revenge. I think Michigan comes out on top here.
Michigan.
Yep.
UCLA at Ohio State. Could be the Buckeyes' only night game versus a conference opponent. So I'm going to go Buckeyes here.
Yep.
Maryland at Illinois. We all got Illinois, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Iowa at USC. Interesting one. Jeff, what do you got?
USC.
Zach?
USC, but I am very tempted to pull the trigger on Iowa, but it's USC.
Yeah. I had Iowa here, but I'll go USC because you guys do. So, all right, Iowa fans, don't say I don't believe in you because I picked you there, but the others didn't.
Did you get the Washington game on there?
Oh, I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. Oh, I did not. Sorry. Thank you, Zach.
Yep.
Washington over Purdue. All right, Minnesota at Northwestern could be a sneaky one. Zach, what do you got?
I got the Cats, man. I got to live up to a reputation apparently. So go Cats.
All right.
I got the Gophers, so it's up to you, JR.
I gotta pick it. I got the Gophers. In this one. Sorry, David Braun. Sorry.
That's fair.
The Westlot Pirates are going to come after me. No. All right. Rutgers at Ohio State. Got Ohio State here.
Buckeyes.
Nebraska at Penn State. We got Nittany Lions here, guys.
Yes.
Yep.
State.
Yeah. Dave says you got to remember they play at Wrigley. Does that change anything for you, Jeff? The Minnesota Northwestern game?
No.
I don't think it changes anything for me either, but it is an interesting location.
Good point. Yeah.
But if it was,
if anything, I think
Lake Breeze. But
I think Wrigley favors the visiting team.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
I think Minnesota's going to run it so much. I don't think it would matter if it was at the lakeside.
Well, I think it's atmosphere. Like, I think the atmosphere, as small as it is, the thing that Westlot Pirates, when I talked to them, they were very, and maybe this is just their perspective, but I think it's a good one, is that because they could control who comes in and out more because of how small of a venue it is, it actually favored Northwestern.
For this one, I would say, because I think Minnesota has better talent than Northwestern, but Minnesota starting the Lindsey young kid. If this were early in the season with Preston Stone, an experienced quarterback, I'd probably take Northwestern. But late in the season, I think those young quarterbacks get settled in. They become veterans late in the year. The good one, they're good, right?
Yeah, that's a good.
That's why I like Minnesota.
Derby asked if the Wrigley Field game is night or day. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe all the Wrigley games have to be noon games because I don't think the lights work for the way the football stadium is set up.
That's the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never recall a Wrigley game being a night game. To your point, JR.
Yeah. Yep. The way the lights are set up for the football. I mean, I think you can have night games at Wrigley, for baseball, but the way the football.
For baseball, yeah. But right, how they're configured.
Yeah, because you're not moving the lights,
They could bring in lights though, but
Well, they could.
no.
They could. So, all right. Washington at UCLA. Jeff, you had Washington here, correct?
Yes.
All right, I did too. Jeff or Zach, you had Washington too, right?
Yep.
Michigan at Maryland. We all had Michigan here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
USC at Oregon. Get the Trojans and their rivalry with the Ducks. Take them out.
I like the Ducks.
Yeah, I like
Ducks.
All right. Illinois at Wisconsin. Zach, what do you have here?
Illinois.
Jeff?
Oh, is this a juicy game? Think
it's
about
good.
it. Bielema
one.
coming to Camp Randall in Wisconsin could prevent Illinois from making the playoffs. They are going to want to win this game so badly. Believe me, I've been to 15 games at Camp Randall. My 3 nephews all went to Wisconsin. I have Illinois actually winning this though, but it's going to be a rock fight.
Yep.
I have Illinois winning this one too.
What
But
do you
if this Wisconsin team just like starts showing so much more fight in them,
I wouldn't be surprised at all if Wisconsin won this. Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't say just this one, but more home games. You know, like I guess you could get the crowd behind them and stuff like that. But yeah, Michigan State at Iowa. Does Iowa get their revenge, Zach?
I think so. I think Iowa wins.
Iowa.
Yeah, me too. Me too. The Fighting Kirk Ferentz's revenge. All right, rivalry week. Here we go. Tons of fun. Let's make everybody mad by picking against the rivals. Iowa at Nebraska. I had Iowa here. Jeff, what'd you have?
Nebraska.
Zach, I think you had Nebraska too, didn't you?
I have Nebraska.
Okay.
Yep. I think they finally get the dub.
All right. Indiana at Purdue. I have this Purdue winning this one 66-0. Just kidding. Indiana.
Fully agree. Purdue. What? Was this a basketball game? This is a basketball game, right? It's November 29th. Oh, wait a minute. No, football.
Yeah.
Indiana.
It's really
So
bad.
it'll only be 50. It'll only be 59-7.
Yeah. Okay. Maryland at Michigan State. Zach, what'd you have here?
Sparty.
In Detroit, no less.
Yeah.
I have Sparty. Yeah.
Yeah, I did too. Penn State at Rutgers. I had Penn State here. I believe both of you guys did too. Northwestern at Illinois. I got the Fighting Illini here. Even if they're not in playoff position, I think they still get it here. Wisconsin at Minnesota. This is an interesting one. Minnesota got Wisconsin when Wisconsin was kind of down on themselves last year after firing Phil Longo. Wisconsin could come back here. The way the schedule sets up, the way we have it right now, this is Wisconsin battling for a bowl game. Jeff, what say you?
I have Minnesota winning this, but man, if Wisconsin can beat Illinois that prior week at home, then they use that and they're just fired up to get the axe. I could see them winning those final 2 games, but I have them losing them both. But don't get mad, Wisconsin. You could just totally swing everything for Fickle around with those last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I agree with everything you just said, Jeff. I've got Minnesota winning the axe.
All right. Well, I guess we go with Minnesota. I think I had Wisconsin winning this one, but I didn't feel super confident about it. UCLA at USC. USC, right, guys?
SC.
Okay.
SC.
Oregon at Washington. I gave serious contemplation to Washington winning this one. I do think Washington has a better chance now than they did last year with the quarterback situation and everything. Oregon did play out of their minds last year, but I think it's still Oregon, although Washington puts up a much better fight this year than they did last year. Zach?
I've got the Huskies upsetting Oregon.
For me, I had Oregon because they have 2 losses already. They need this game to make the playoffs in my scenario, and I have them winning to go 10-2 and make the playoffs.
All right, Oregon gets it. All right, Ohio State fans don't hate me. I have made a solemn vow to not pick Ohio State to beat Michigan until it actually happens again. Ryan Day's done it before, but I need to see it again before I pick it. So for that reason alone, I'm picking Michigan to win. Jeff, who are you picking?
I'm just going to do the Desmond Howard thing and choose the team I like best, despite me supposed to being, neutral and being on ESPN and objective. So I'm going with Ohio State.
All right, Zach, break the tie.
I did pick Michigan last time, but that hurts my soul too much. So I'm just going to pick Ohio State and hope and pray.
All right. Well, there we go. That is what we got. I'll move this over and we'll look at, so it's very small. I apologize. I don't know if there's anything I can do to make the standings here bigger, but the way this works out, we have picked Ohio State to go 12-0. I don't think that will actually happen, but there it is. We've picked Penn State to go 11-1.
Oh, wow.
Oregon, followed by Michigan at 4th. Nebraska, although they're 10-2, they will be 5th due to a tiebreaker with Michigan, followed by Washington. Indiana at 9-3. Indiana would be behind Washington. How does that work? How is Indiana behind Washington when Washington's 5-4? That's not right. Yeah. So it would be Indiana, Illinois, Washington, USC, Iowa, Minnesota 8-4, Wisconsin 5-7, Northwestern, UCLA, Rutgers 5-7, Michigan State 5-7, Purdue, Maryland. Those standings are not exactly accurate, but we'll roll with it. So, thoughts here, guys, before we end it.
Yeah. So just so people don't get mad at us, all three of us on our own. Actually, I had Ohio State 10-2, JR 11-1, Zach 10-2 originally. So I think we'd all agree we don't think Ohio State is going to go unbeaten, even though it came out that way. Wouldn't we say that? Like, we wouldn't expect that.
I think it just speaks to the kind of craziness of their schedule,
Yeah.
how many different areas there are, because I think we all kind of picked different areas where they could falter, but
Right.
there was never really a consensus in
Yeah.
one area
Right.
where they would.
Yeah.
You
nailed it. For the listeners, that's why they ended up like that. Like, I had them losing to Washington, you two, of course, winning. Therefore, they won that game. And so
Yeah.
we don't
Zach
really.
had them losing to Illinois. I had them losing to Michigan. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think to that point, Jeff, I think that middle stretch, they lose a game in there somewhere. Three road games in 4 weeks, all tough road environments, Illinois, Wisconsin, Washington. If it weren't Illinois, I probably would have picked Washington.
Yeah. And I have a similar for Oregon, losing at Penn State early because young quarterback playing in a whiteout like game 4, but then tripping up later at Iowa, Oregon, right? And so we're saying the depth of the Big Ten probably not represented in these standings here because, again, when it's 2 out of 3 just needs to be to get the win for that favorite team, we do think that middle tier is going to have some upsets. I think it's safe to say.
Agreed. Darth Becky asked, does Nebraska make the playoffs here? Well, let's look at Nebraska's schedule, what they would do in this situation. If we look at it here. All right. So on here, if this worked out for Nebraska, we have them
9-3.
going, what was that, 8-0 we had them going here? Yeah, we had them 8-0, losing to UCLA, losing to Penn State. What? They beat USC. They beat Michigan. Could Nebraska make it at 10-2 with big wins over USC and Michigan, falling to Penn State, and then having a bad upset loss to UCLA?
I think they would be. It would depend on who else is in that 10-2 range. Because I think they have solid wins, but not necessarily like an elite win. And I think, especially with what we were saying before with SEC teams, I could see where there's a narrative out there that Nebraska just doesn't have the schedule. or the marquee wins. But I would tend to think I would lean they would get in.
Yeah, and I do think this is where the 8 poll maybe means a little more at the end. At the beginning, it doesn't mean much at all. But I think a 10-win Big Ten team is most likely going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Not for sure, because it does depend. And frankly, it depends on how many SEC teams also are 10-2. Let's just be real here. Mm-hmm. If it's between a tiebreaker with a Big 12 team that's 10-2, I think we'll win those tiebreakers. The Big Ten will win the tiebreakers with the Big 12 and the ACC. We just might not against the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I think the losses coming late in the season would be the biggest thing here. Like if they lost to, Cincinnati instead of UCLA, I actually think they have a better chance. Although Cincinnati would be a worse team, I actually think they would have a better chance because of the early loss. And then I don't think a loss to Penn State in their second last game would hurt them that much. If weeks 11, 12, and 13 they go 0-2, I think that could push them to outside the top 15, unfortunately.
It really, this also is where how you play against like that at Penn State. I agree, JR. They don't have to. If they lose that game, it's not going to kill them. But if they lose 40-7, that looks really bad. People are going to remember that the second last game of the year they got smoked in Happy Valley. That doesn't wear well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think you can survive it if you get help, right? Because Indiana survived although I don't think they got smoked or murdered like some people on Twitter want to tell me they got. However, I think it helped that Alabama lost to Oklahoma, right? I think it helped that Ole Miss had that loss to Kentucky. I think if you're 10-2 this scenario, you probably make it, but I think you need some help from some other teams not performing as well.
Potentially, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But I like the chances at 10-2. Yep.
I do. Me too.
I do too. All right. Anything else, gentlemen, before we get out of here?
No fun stuff. Sometimes, like when the Big Ten West teams are playing each other, and now that Nebraska's looking better, it just adds. You see Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska. It's like, oh man, a road game there is just a risky game for anybody,
Yep.
Totally agree. Agree. All right. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Zach, for being here. This is a fun little exercise. We'll put a graphic together with all this stuff and put it out there on Thursday morning. And we appreciate you all watching and listening on podcast. Check us out Thursday night, me and Big Jeff, for the bottom half of his Big Ten predictions. Will be a fun episode there. Jeff, any thoughts on that before we're done?
Yeah, they're hard to predict. I think any team in the Big Ten, you could say some positive things about. Purdue, even with a new coach, Northwestern, moving into a new stadium next year. So even if they are bad this year, as long as they're competitive. So I think every team in the Big Ten has some really positive things to be thinking of. It just might not show in the record this year.
Yep, I agree. Dave says, good work, guys. I agree with everything except Minnesota losing to Nebraska. It doesn't really show it here because the standings have Minnesota down at 11th, but holy cow, if Minnesota goes 9-3 this season, I mean, people got to start recognizing PJ Fleck if that happens. Holy cow.
Yeah. That'd be a huge, huge success for Minnesota.
Redshirt freshman quarterback. You just lost Daniel Jackson. You go 9-3 if that happened. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. We appreciate Zach and Jeff being here with us as well. Have a good one, and Jeff and I will see you on Thursday night or Friday morning when the podcast episode is posted there. Thanks. Have a good one.